Welcome to Rajab Winter, to another Series 2 replay cast. It's going to be featuring a CoH2.org replay, and it's going to be sent in, or rather uploaded by Vladislav, and his ally is going to be Space Mambo, playing as the British. On the enemy side, we have Coffee Up, Ugurlu, playing as Wehrmacht, and M, playing as Wehrmacht. So, Rajab Winter. Of course, winter, so lots of snow, lots of lag. We have T-3485s. Okay, so Advanced Warfare Tactics being instantly selected by Vladislav. The doctrine is a decent one. It's not too great because of generally the abilities being kind of all over the place, but it's still pretty useful if you want to get a versatile force of T-3485s and conscripts with PPSHs. And of course, the radio interceptor is very good. As you can see, right now Vladislav can get information on pretty much everything that the Germans are doing. Thus, he will know that there's an MG42, another MG42, so on and so on. So his ally is going to be sending in his infantry to the left side of the map, trying to capture this little island with the fuel point and the victory point. Of course, there's two sort of islands which hold the VP and the fuel points at both sides of the map, which are pretty much crucial to, victory. And then the cutoffs that connect them are also, of course, very important focal points of this map. And then there's the little middle sort of landmass in between the lake, which holds another victory point, and this one usually becomes a slaughter later on into the game. This map usually devolves into very static play later on. Not as much in 2v2, but definitely in 3v3. It's like that. So the Vickers machine gun is going to be attempting to defend the field point, but unfortunately the cutoff point is vulnerable, not capped, and the Pioneers are heading straight to it. So Coffee Up is going to be pretty much in a good position to pretty much deny any kind of resource income for the British. But on the other side, Vladislav has managed to capture pretty much all of the points on his side of the map, uncontested. There's one machine gun attempting to push up against them, but machine gun pushing up against conscripts will have its own issues. So this is still really good for the Allies, though, because the Germans, while they have managed to cut off the British, as we see the first engagement up on the right side of the map, conscripts are going to be pinned by the machine gun, and the cutoff is going to be vulnerable to these grenadiers. But there's another conscript squad and another conscript squad over here that can make a pincer maneuver from both sides and probably defeat this advanced force of the Germans. This is still, as I said, pretty good for the Allies, because while the Germans have managed to cut off this point, and also the right side field point will be soon cut off, the Germans still have no field points under their control. So they're going to have a lot of trouble getting those resources they need, at least in the early game. We will see about what they do to recover after this. Pioneers are going to be capturing the center, and at this point these conscripts are in a very big problem, because these grenadiers and this machine gun are going to be able to easily deal with them. The second conscript squad was a bit late on the flank, and the Hurrah is not going to bring them to the flank of the machine gun, but there is the Molotov being researched, and the Molotov is going to force the machine gun to reposition, but the conscripts are already suppressed, and so they had to retreat because of this extra grenadier squad that was coming in to reinforce. On the left side, it looks like the Wehrmacht are pretty much going to town on the British, and there's only the machine gun remaining. One infantry squad is going to attempt to reinforce, catching some Pioneers as they're laying mines, but the Pioneers will be able to close into close range and pretty much defeat these infantry sections, unless they can actually drop a few models before the MP40s get to work at close range. Yeah, I don't see the infantry section winning this engagement. On this side, we have a mortar capturing strategic point. Very nice, using the support weapon to capture when it's not doing much. It's a very important skill that not many people use. People forget that mortars and anti-tank guns can, in fact, capture points, and that is a bad mistake. We have a sniper coming from Coffee Up, who also went for Mechanized Doctrine. Now, Mechanized Doctrine is a, well, not the best doctrine, because it's, again, all over the place. You have the Mechanized Grenadier group, which isn't really that good. It's just you pay double the manpower for a half-track and the free machine gun and then you also pay 30 fuel, so it's really not that good, and it's just a Grenadier squad. The smoke bombs are kind of interesting, but hard to use. They, of course, lay down a lot of smoke over a lot of area for pretty much very cheap, but they take quite a while to appear, because, of course, it's a plane that comes in and drops the bombs. Spotting scope is a decent ability, but again, it's really not in line with the rest of the doctrine. The rest of the doctrine is more about being mobile and defensive, but spotting scope is about being passive, because of course if you're not moving, then the spotting scope will not give a line of sight bonus. On the right side we have a Maxim from Vladislav. Vladislav went for tier 2, of course, which is a good decision, because right now he needs those support weapons, especially machine guns and maybe even mortars soon, to dislodge these German MGs from their positions. As you can see, the German mortar is going to town on the Maxim, and some incendiary armor piercing rounds will be popped to give better damage against the infantry and cover, and that worked wonders, pretty much almost wiping out the conscript squad. The other conscript squad, though, has managed to recapture the fuel point, so some good harassment going down from Vladislav. At least he was able to deny the Germans the fuel, but on the left side, the Germans have managed to push up against the Vickers machine gun, which is hiding in this building. Looks like they also fired a couple of rifle grenades at it, dealing some heavy damage and forcing it away, so now they will be able to recapture this point. The British Space Mambo has gone for bolster infantry squads for his infantry. He's also got tier 1. We'll see if he can get out some kind of unit out of tier 1. Looks like he hasn't teched any of the upgrades for the building, so he might just want to go for an AT gun or a sniper, especially the sniper to counter the enemy sniper. Could be a very good choice, and the AT gun to counter any kind of 222s. I'm very surprised to not see any 222s coming in from the Germans. We have tier 1, rather phase 1, and also phase 1 being upgraded by both players, but no one has built the tier 2 building, Last Mechanized Company. Not yet, at least. We have, it's been built just now by M, and he's going for a half-track though, not a 222. That is kind of interesting. He's also got the resources now for a 222 as well, so that's what I would do. I would go for a flame half-track and then a 222. Vladislav has also managed to capture this strategic point, and I believe the British managed to harass this point, so that means that they actually have denied quite a bit of map control from the Germans, and now a lot of allied units are pouring into the right side, and that's pretty good. When you're pretty much being defeated on both sides, you want to be focusing on one side with both your players. That's a pretty straightforward 2v2 tactic. We have some role engineers coming in from Space Mambo, but he's floating a lot of manpower, which is why I would advise him really to get a sniper out as soon as possible, or maybe even a mortar pit. Perhaps a mortar pit over here would also be a really good decision and help him out in the engagements soon. So the flame half-track is being upgraded, and a nice rocket grenade from Coffee Up Grenadiers, almost wiping out an infantry section. The half-track will chase with its MG, and soon it will have the flamethrowers, and excellent shot from the MG, going to be wiping out a infantry section. And there were only 2 infantry sections for Space Mambo. He really should be at least getting another one. He really needs that extra infantry. The sniper is going to be caught at close range and be forced to retreat. So another very important part of the German mechanized doctrine is the LEFH artillery, which is a very strong unit at this point in the meta, especially if the game drags on and it becomes a very defensive stalemate. The LEFH artillery will be a very useful tool for the Germans. That is, of course, provided you can save up enough manpower for the purchase to be useful, because of course it is 600 manpower, which is quite a bit. So the machine gun from M ably going to suppress pretty much all of the allied infantry that's attempting to push against this defensive position of the Germans, but getting Vic 2 in the process and 13 kills, so definitely very devastating of a unit. The Vickers machine gun has managed to get into this house, but it's being attacked by a mortar, it looks like. No, that was a rifle grenade then. Rifle grenade from these Grenadiers. Grenadiers going to be forced to retreat from the machine gun, but the flame half-track will probably kill the machine gun, at least on retreat. Yep, it will likely just chase the machine gun and easily destroy it through the lake. Bye-bye. So that is why I just really love the Flame Half-Track. It's an amazing unit, and it just destroys especially units in cover and buildings, but also it's pretty good at chasing down units thanks to its pretty high speed. In fact, it can probably chase this engineer squad right now, even though it's not doing it, which is a bit of a mistake. It could have easily wiped this engineer squad as well. So we have special weapons doctrine being selected, and Space Mambo immediately calling off some tank hunter anti-tank sections, and that's obviously meant as a sort of a counter to the Flame Half-Track, but in my opinion it is not that good of a counter, and it's possibly not worth it to choose an entire doctrine off of it, but he can also later on make use of the Crocodile and especially the concentrated fire operation. In case the Germans build that artillery, the concentrated fire operations will easily deal with it. Pretty much one-shotting it guaranteed. So that is why the Special Weapons Regiment is a pretty good doctrine. Also, Hold the Line is a very underrated ability. What it does is it strafes enemies pretty much automatically throughout the entire front line. Visible enemies, of course, and that's like really powerful. And of course, increased defense for infantry in friendly territories is also very nice. So again, the Special Weapons Doctrine is just a really good doctrine, but it's very munitions intensive because these two abilities, the Concentrated Fire and the Hold the Line, are very powerful and can pretty much change the tide of the game, but they really need you to have a lot of munitions. And then your other ability that's really good, the Resupply Half-Track. Yes, you can use it as a reinforcement point, like a normal half-track, but it's quite expensive, and the extra ability of deploying weapons without having to upgrade weapon racks is really useful, and you want to be using it as much as possible. Of course, Space Mambo calling it off. It's going to have to be careful though, because of the pack guns that are on the field. Coffee up went for 2 anti-tank guns, which is, of course, very dangerous to that very lightly armored Flame Half-Track. So Space Mambo is going to have to be very careful. Now, Vladislav, right now, in my opinion, is making a mistake because he's not teching up to Tier 3 and then later Tier 4. He does have the resources for Tier 3 and then Tier 4 as well, because, of course, that is 70 plus 85, which is exactly 155. So he does have the resources for both of the buildings, and when you've got T-3485s, there's really no reason not to check up to Tier 4, especially since the situation also really calls for a Katyusha. So what I would do if I was Vladislav right now is stop losing units, but that's also a problem with the British. They're sending in their half-track in very close range where it's going to be Panzerfausted. Very lucky actually that the Panzerfaust didn't just break the ice and sink the half-track instead. So the Flame Half-Track it's up to 15 kills. It looks like AT grenaded by something, or maybe hit a mine, and it's going to be repaired now. This is really good play by the Germans in terms of coordination. Look at how they're playing. They just have all of their units in a ball with each other, where the front line is, and then look, M just retreats, and he's going to just get repaired by his own ally. Then the Grenadiers are just supporting each other, and the pack guns are also supporting each other. So what I'm guessing is, that these guys are teammates. They're kind of pre-made teammates, and that just gives you a really big advantage. I'm not sure if Space Mambo and Vladislav are friends, because of course the extra coordination just makes you that much better in a team game situation. So Vladislav is going finally for Tier 3. It looks like he's also got the resources for Tier 4 once he gets the manpower, and that's what I would go for, because again, a T-3485 is going to be really good in general as a versatile unit. We have an excellent reinforcement bunker placement, not going to be visible to the enemy, and it's going to be protected by these bushes, and this would just allow the Grenadiers to reinforce on the field, which is just excellent because that's what you want to do when you want to extend your map control to an area of the map that is far away from your base. You just want that extra reinforcement capability. So the Allied infantry is going to counterattack on the flank of the German assault on the cutoff point. It looks like the Flame Half-Track is going to wipe out the Vickers crew, and it's also going to destroy the fuel cache from Vladislav. Vladislav also building quite a few caches, which is excellent. The mortar menacing to wipe out pretty much all of the Soviet units that were pretty blobbed up the excellent repositioning of the machine gun, Vet-3 machine gun, pretty much allowed this assault to be shut down, and the mortar just wiping out squads left and right. It's pretty much excellent. The anti-tank gun section, rather anti-tank rifle section, threw an anti-tank grenade at the flame half-track and also was firing at it with AT rifles, but it was just an inch short of killing it, which is a very, very big shame for the Allies, because of course taking out that very annoying flame half-track would have been an excellent coup de grace for them. Vladislav's MG is being positioned in this shack, or rather this house over here, to avoid any kind of harassment of the right side by any kind of stray German units. What right now the Germans really need to do is consolidate their forces around this area and then just push up to about here, because they do have the complete, pretty much force superiority over the Allies. And right now, one very big problem is that M, who has gone for Jaeger armor and is upgrading phase 2 just right now, is floating a lot of resources. He's clearly waiting for the elephant, but in my opinion he would be very well served going tier 4 and getting out a couple of Panzer Grenadier squads as well, because a couple of Panzer Grenadier squads and one Pioneer squad would really serve him a lot, because the reason is he wants some kind of unit to protect his flank from close range, because that's what happened pretty much in the last engagement. Was the only reason that Allied push was repulsed in the flank of the Germans was because the MG was repositioned in time. But you cannot reposition it all the time, every time, and so some Panzer Grenadier squads to protect, just to hold back and protect his flank would be excellent, and you know, just support his Grenadiers and his sniper. Right now, one problem it seems that the Germans is that they are kind of low on munitions, it seems, because they're not upgrading all of their squads. These Pioneers would really be well served with some minesweepers. The Allies aren't really planting any mines, but they should be, because they are floating a lot of munitions, and a couple of mines would really help out. So one machine gun going down in the center, it looks like, from the sniper and mortar fire. That's a bit of a problem for the Allies. They're losing their machine guns a lot, and generally their support weapons are just lying on the ground a lot. They had a couple of AT guns over here earlier. I'm not sure if they remanned them. Looks like one of them was remanned. Is this? And the British AT gun looks like it was lost to the ice, maybe. We have a Bofors being built by Space Bambo. A bit late for that, but it's going to be barraging pretty much the defensive area of the Germans with its artillery ability. Now, the Bofors in this position is not too excellent, in my opinion, because of the bushes over here that I'm sure were meant to protect the Bofors, but really, what it ends up doing is it ends up making the Bofors unable to fire over them, as we see some conscripts going to be probably wiped over here. It's going to be very lucky for him if he doesn't get wiped. He moved. That was a big mistake by Coffee Up. If he had just stayed in the fire and ate the fire, he could have easily wiped the conscript with another burst of the LMG. But so we do see Vladislav finally upgrading his conscript with Papa Shahs, and that will definitely help out at close range against the German infantry. One problem is that on this map, close range is very hard to come by. You need to work pretty hard for it to get a close range engagement going on the enemy. Or the enemy needs to fuck up really hard, which is always possible. Stug going to attempt to run over the conscripts, going to eat a couple of anti-tank grenades and eat the damaged engine. These conscripts should not have retreated. It was really unnecessary to just retreat. We have an Ostwind coming in from Coffee Up. And this is again why I would suggest for M to tech up to tier 4. Okay, so he did tech up to tier 4, so now he needs to build a building really fast and get out a Panzerwerfer. Why a Panzerwerfer? Well, the Germans really need artillery right now to break this defensive position and also help out in defeating the support weapons and conscripts of Vladislav. So right now the Panzerwerfer would be excellent for that, and also it wouldn't be too much of a drain on the German resources, because he clearly wants to be allowed to get the Elephant Tank Destroyer later on. So not spending too many resources is pretty good towards that goal, because of course he will save enough for the Elephant if he just builds a couple of Panzerwerfers instead of going for something more expensive like a Panzer. So Vladislav is getting a Katyusha out. One very big problem for the Allies is that they're not capturing this point even though it's pretty much undefended, and they're not capturing these MGs that are on it to defend the point later on after they recaptured it, so they're not getting any fuel income. And right now, the Germans have complete fuel superiority, and they've had for a long time, so they will definitely have a lot of vehicles later on. And pretty much one problem with going for the Elephant is that M should be recognizing that they have pretty much complete fuel superiority. So he should recognize that he doesn't really have a need for a heavy tank destroyer, especially as his ally has 2 Stugs. 2 Stugs will be enough to deal with anything the allies can pump out in a very long time, because the allies really don't have any fuel. Here, Spaceman Ball just now went for, well, just now, has only managed to upgrade Company Command Post, and hasn't even managed to get Hammer or Anvil tactics, nor get out any kind of unit like Cromwell. So he's really behind. Though the Katyusha doing some pretty decent work in the center. The barrage was aimed correctly, but one mistake was that the Katyusha was a bit too far away from the action. It should have been a little bit closer because, well, more accurate up close, very inaccurate at long range. But it looks like it was a good idea to actually hang back, because the Stugs were pretty much baited in by the fact that the Katyusha existed and attempted to charge in to take them out. But the Stug, again, not the best offensive unit at all, and it's going to be pretty much surrounded by allied infantry. There's one Stug though that's still alive, and it's attempting to hunt down the Katyusha. On the other side, the Austin attempted that looks like a push, but it was repulsed by something. I'm really not sure, perhaps the AT gun. The Katyusha is going to just run around and cue Benny Hill theme. It's going to just run away. It's in a very precarious position, and the Stug will hit it and destroy it. So as a resource trade, the Germans lost out on that one, because the Stug and the Katyusha actually have a pretty equal resource cost. The Stug costs 10 more fuel, but 80 less manpower, so it's pretty even unit. So they lost double because they lost 2 Stugs, but at the same time they also pretty much gained double the resources of the allies. So it was a pretty good trade, especially because it's going to maybe dissuade Vladislav from building another Katyusha, which is absolutely what he should do. He should build another Katyusha and just be a lot more careful in defending it. Perhaps plant a few more mines around this area of the map. Would be a good idea, especially since he doesn't really have any engineers, so he really shouldn't be building 2 Maxims. He should be building 2 engineer squads and using the engineers also to recapture some of these support weapons that were abandoned on the map, rather than building new ones. And another problem for Vladislav is that, again, he really should build that Katyusha, but I don't think he will, because losing a unit like a Katyusha that's supposed to be staying safe in the back is a very big, like, psychological blow as well to a lot of players. So just kind of usually just dissuades you from building another one when perhaps you just should. Conscripts should really be remanning the Sis gun to push back this Ostwind even further. The sniper is attempting to also defend the Ostwind from the conscripts. Ostwind up to 12 kills, so definitely not doing bad. And the AT gun is remanned. This one conscript is very low on HP and also only 1 guy, which means that he's very vulnerable to the sniper. Austin going to be decrewed as soon as the smoke hits, but nice attack round from Vladislav's AT gun. Good to take it out, but unfortunately it looks like he might lose a conscript squad because of it. No, he won't. Okay, so that's pretty good. Excellent move, destroying that Austin. So Space Mammal finally realizing that he can just move on the left with no real danger. No, don't remand that. Okay, good. Something that I forgot to mention is, of course, that the Allies haven't really been harassing the left side at all. They've just been leaving it to the Germans, and the Germans have been quite happy to actually not keep any unit there, not even a bunker or something. Cromwell really luckily avoiding a teller mine over here, going to be flanking this Brumbear from M. So it looks like M went for a Brumbear. In my opinion, he should also go for a couple of Panzerwerfers after this. The Brumbear is going to be in jeopardy though because of the Cromwell. Cromwell is a pretty excellent vehicle to destroy Brumbears because of its speed, allowing it to pretty much chase it down and get behind it as soon as it appears. And one problem with the Brumbear is that it does do a lot of damage, even to armored vehicles, but of course it's very slow, and you need to support it. You need to support it. So the Cromwell will take it out. Cromwell on the ice though, with 2 packs shooting at it, and the mortar actually sinking it. That was an excellent mortar shot. from the mortar team. Look at all that veterancy. What the hell? That was excellent. So that's kind of like, I don't know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I was pretty much fully expecting the Cromwell to be sunk anyway, but not by the mortar. That was pretty nice. So conscript infantry squad going to be pushing up in the center, or rather the right flank. There's a couple of machine guns that miraculously didn't suppress all of the Soviet infantry. I'm guessing they were focused on firing at this Maxim. The second machine gun was actually kind of badly positioned over here, and it's got 29 kills on this bet free. So if the Allies can take it out, it would be an excellent, good thing for them. But the problem is it's just too well protected. These two mortars are really, really dangerous thing for the Allies because their support weapons just get decrewed all the time. And again, the Allies aren't capping this connecting point. I'm really not sure why they aren't. And Vladislav going for a T-70. Okay, I'm really not sure why the T-70 is up here. A T-34-76 would have been okay. So then T-70, 200 manpower, 70 fuel. T-34-76, 300 manpower and 80 fuel. So 100 more manpower and 10 more fuel for a unit that is pretty much better in every way, except in a little bit of infantry killing potential. Why would you not go for T-34-76? I don't really, well, rather also speed and the recon ability, but still, like, I don't know. Also because this T-70 is going to die. It's going to die in, I predict, about 15 seconds. 10. So yeah, that's why it was a bad idea. I think I don't need to say anything, the facts speak for itself. And the bet-free MG is in a bit of a bad shape right now. It's being Molotoved, and the conscripts were trying to flank it, but looks like an AT gun was decrewed by the mortars, and these conscripts should actually just retreat. Okay, finally they retreat. Concentrated fire operation being called down by Space Mambo over the German defensive position. The Germans will just scatter all over, and it looks like it will hit empty ground. The Elephant is on the field for M in a really cool gray skin. Obviously, he's got the Panzergrau skin. The bunker, actually, oh, this is an MG bunker. Okay, I thought it was something else. Okay, good. So the MG bunker is actually in a really good position because it's far enough away that it cannot be hit by anti-tank guns. Of course, it's going to be destroyed by the concentrated fire operation, but it was in a really good spot, honestly, because it could cover the other MGs and it could be pretty much immune to anti-tank gunfire. That's what you want to do with bunkers. You want to be putting them not in the absolute front line, but a little bit back so they aren't too vulnerable. So Vladislav going for another Katyusha. I'll speed it up a little bit just because there's really not much going on except just back and forth action with no real change in tactics. So Katyusha is actually going to destroy the TT2 with the veteran up, and so that's a really good thing for the Allies because that veteran TT2 has a lot of view range. And I'm pretty sure he also went for the spotting scope on it. I forgot to look for it, but the spotting scope 222 is of course an evil unit because the vision range of it from about here, it can probably see up to about over here, and it's not even joking. I've got a cast on it. You can check it out. I'll probably put a link over here, and just it's an insane unit, and you want to be having that if you have the spotting scope available. What is this guy doing? So it looks like the Panzer IV command tank was attempting to find the Katyusha, but the Katyusha was nicely repositioned after firing and getting the 4 kills and the 222 kill. So it looks like the Stug is just being left on the left side with no real thing to do, just as a defensive measure if any kind of vehicle approaches to try and recapture the left side. Really not too much of a fan of doing this. The Germans should really be pushing up with that force and try to take out the Indonesian territory and the Indonesian caches from the Allies. Machine guns pushing up in the center. Of course, since there's also pushing the center, these units should really just be pushing up into the flank of the Allies over here. So the CoH2 is going to be firing at the defensive location here in the right side, and going to be dealing some good damage to the reinforcement bunker and the machine gun, but the machine gun will be suppressing all of the conscripts, and this conscript pod will likely go down because it's not being monitored. It was attempting to throw a Molotov, but it was too late. The bunker just barely living with a sliver of health, and the machine gun over here in this building, which managed to get into the house pretty much at the beginning of the engagement, it's going to pretty much deal heavy damage to the allied infantry, suppressing them and forcing them away to retreat. Spaceman Ambo, floating a lot of resources, is going to go for a crocodile, which is a mistake in my opinion, because I'm not sure if he knows that there's an elephant on the field. He should know, but if he doesn't know, then disregard what I'm about to say. If you know that there's an elephant on the field, you should probably not be going for a slow, heavy tank that's meant to counter infantry. You should probably go for a fast, medium tank, like a Comet. He hasn't gone for either Hammer or Anvil, though perhaps also a Sherman Firefly could be a good idea for him. Again, the Germans managing to push back against the Allied assault on the center left, and the bunker on the left side is going to guard the VP. At the same time, perhaps a bunker in the middle would serve well the Germans, because the Allies really lack the vehicle strength to destroy bunkers right now. So the Katyusha moved up to the cover of these trees to fire another barrage, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna hit the trees. Okay, no, it's going to pass through. Sometimes things are a little iffy. The bunker is going to be destroyed, the reinforcement one that was causing so many troubles for the Allies. Sometimes things are a little iffy, and Katyushas really like to hit trees in front of them. It's really hard to see whether or not that is possible. Picking up these support weapons would be a really important deal right now, because if Vladislav and Space Mambo had picked up some of these support weapons that were lying on the ground, they'd have a much bigger army by now. And of course, there's also the fact that they need to be playing more defensive with their support weapons, because they've been losing them all the time. And another, I know that the reason is, as this Panzer IV is going to probably destroy this Katyusha with its main gun. Yep, going to be destroying it fairly easily. Excellent flank from the Panzer IV. Taking a bit of damage from an AT gun, it looks like. Yes, this gun. And the conscripts are going to be able to deal some damage and destroy the engine with an anti-tank grenade, but there's really not much that can follow up on it. The AT gun might be able to put a couple shots into it, and along with the Boys AT rifles, they will be able to destroy the Panzer IV. The Vanguard Operation Crocodile being called in. Not really sure where the flare was called. The flare was called... where? Looks like on the base. One thing about the Vanguard Operation Crocodile is that sometimes people use the flare as a scout, and sometimes they just call it in the base so that the enemy doesn't know that the crocodile is coming. Because of course, if they see the flare, they're gonna know that it's a crocodile. So now they see the elephant, and they probably realize that this crocodile was not the best decision. As I was saying earlier, I know that these mortars are the reason these AT weapons and machine guns are dying all the time. But that's no excuse for just being reckless with the support weapons and then not remanning them. This is just manpower being wasted. So the bunker was rebuilt. All of the bunkers, in fact, are rebuilt. There was even a medical bunker being placed over here. So this is right now like the SimCity of a lifetime. German SimCity. Sometime in this game, the Beaufort was also killed, speaking of SimCity. So the Crocodile is going to push up in the center, doing some heavy damage to the German support weapons and infantry and defensive locations, but the pack gun is starting to fire on it, and it will force it to retreat, along with probably the elephant will be repositioned if it's smart enough to do that. Vladislav really is hurting for resources really hard, and I really don't think the Allies can pull through at this point. So I'll just begin to talk about what they could have done differently. Vladislav, playing a little bit safer with the Katyushas would have been a good idea, and by safer I mean just placing more units to defend them, like mines and stuff. like that. Also AT guns covering the likely approaches of vehicles trying to destroy the Katyushas. And another problem with him was that he just lost too many. He got too many support weapons. He lost too many of them. Whereas he probably should have gotten more just infantry, mainline infantry conscripts, AT guns even, because he only got 1 or 2 AT guns. He only now went for more AT guns. Another thing that he did well, actually one thing he did well, he placed on a lot of caches, but that was pretty much nullified by the fact that he didn't go for his cutoff point at all during the entire game. He just kind of left it uncapped for no real reason. Yes, of course he was getting shelled by the German mortars that were placed around here, but he should also have gone for a couple of mortars himself, in my opinion. That would have definitely done a lot to help him out in dealing with this SimCity, and would have just been really good. The Allies did play with a bit better coordination towards the end of the game, but it still wasn't enough. The Germans were definitely better coordinated, probably because of the fact that they were a team, I'm guessing. Other things that Vladislav could have done there, no T-70, of course, pretty sure that he knows about that T-70 was a pretty big mistake. Perhaps getting a T-34-85 or 2, if he wouldn't have lost those Katyushas, would have been possible, and if he wouldn't have gone for that T-70. So that's why the waste of that fuel really hurt him in the end. Another thing about him, just trying to think really hard about him, because he's the one who uploaded the replay, so he's the one that needs the feedback. Not really much. Again, perhaps it wasn't the best doctrine selection for the map, because the Papa Shah is really not too good on this map, which is just because of the fact that it's just a very open map with not that much cover. So your infantry really has a hard time getting into close range unscathed with the enemy. Other than that, also more mines would have been really important. I've already said it about the protecting the Katyusha part, but just in general, more mines, and perhaps even a demo charger too would have been really good out of him. And another thing the mortars could have helped him deal with are these bunkers. And also what he could have done is, once he had noticed that his ally was not going to harass the left side, he could have done it himself. A couple of, perhaps, engineer squads. Oh, as you can see, the Scott car is being built and probably will be upgraded with the spotting scope. So, Space Mambo. Now, Space Mambo, there's a lot to talk about in Space Mambo play. Definitely going for a bit more resource expenditures instead of floating would have been really good. The Crocodile was not a good idea at all. I would have gone for a Comet. The Bofors was in a pretty bad position, and it was very late in the game. If you would have gone for a Bofors, you should have gone for one earlier on, and yeah, pretty much that. Perhaps a mortar pit would have been more useful as well. A sniper would have been really good. More infantry sections and less losing of infantry sections. Perhaps even less tank hunter infantry sections and more normal infantry sections. Some resupply half track. The resupply half track was really wasted, so perhaps a bit more conservative play with it to get the infantry upgrades out on the field as soon as possible. Would have been really good, because right now all of his infantry sections are kind of subpar because of them being tank hunter infantry sections with no no upgrades. So there's no Bren on them. That would be a really good idea to deal with the Grenadiers, which are vet free for coffee up and vet free for M as well. But even managing to get vet free and 29 kills on unupgraded squads, so that's really indicative of how inferior the Allied infantry was this game. Other than that, yeah, again, perhaps the doctrine selection was not the best in light of the Jaeger armor, but the doctrine selection could have been made to work anyway. T-34-85 is on the field for Vladislav, but I'm pretty sure it's way too late to do anything. The spotting scope was upgraded on the T-22, but the T-22, I'm pretty certain, as you can see, the vision range is really extreme. I'm pretty certain it was able to see the T-34 way before it was any danger to it, so I'm pretty sure it should have actually just treated a lot more. on anything else, really not sure. Really not sure. Yeah, pretty sure that's it for the Allies. Again, the coordination was better on the Germans, but I'm pretty certain that is because they're a team. In fact, I'll just actually check out the profiles, because they're really nothing interesting going on at this point.